As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me figure it out. I don't know what's going on with this song. Bum, bum, ba, bum, ba, ba. There it goes. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with the audio. I still have to work on it. As you guys know, we're building this new system. It's going to have complications until I know it fluently. But at least when we're having some complications or troubleshooting, I can kind of troubleshoot it because I'm building it. So it's making it a little bit easier and understanding the behind the scenes. I'm not liking being a IT guy, okay? I'm just going to tell you. It's not Betty's strong suit to be IT, okay? Can you guys hear me okay? I turned the volume up, like, I think really, really loud. Maybe I need to go like this. Is this it? Can you guys hear? I don't know if you guys can hear it going up and down or not, or if it's just me. But hopefully you all can hear me very well. And I'm not screaming in your ear, but when I went back and listened to the video yesterday, I didn't like the audio. I just didn't. So I want to make sure that I'm screaming in your ear and that you have to turn down the volume. That's what I want. I want to make sure that your volume is not on total full to hear me speaking. I want to make sure that it's like half because we are the loudest channel on YouTube. Okay, we got a reputation to uphold here. All good, all good. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you. It's nice to see you. Oops, I don't have my live chat up on this one for some reason. Its properties are not. Ugh. Okay, we got the pop out, so why isn't it showing? Let's see if we can get it to show. I might have to adjust it. Yeah, there we go. That's the one thing about this. Every single morning, I got to come in here and adjust all this stuff because it never opens up quite right, which is fine. I mean, no, not really. I mean, I prefer it to work every time the way it needs to work all the time, but it is what it is. I'm going to put this up just in case we have to make it a little bigger. All right, guys. So we've been covering the case of, why isn't this, there we go. We've been covering the case of Emmanuel Haro, and we've learned a lot of stuff that we did not want to learn about this case. Let's be honest. This child, from everything we're learning, most likely was abused. I'm not sure how. I don't know how often this child went to the doctor. I think some of these things could have been spearheaded if the child was going to the doctor regularly. I don't know if they were, because it sounds like this mother was trying to hide a lot of stuff inside her home. I am still convinced that this woman is a battered woman. I'm not, that's not going to change our opinions or how we analyze this case, but I do believe that this woman is a battered woman, okay? Battered women act a little differently than normal people. I'm sorry, they just do. They put up with a lot more than normal people can put up with, okay? They try to make things livable. They adjust their lives so they can handle stuff, and it's just a sad situation. But it never gives a battered woman the right to stand by and allow her child to be injured or hurt. And that's where we're coming from in this position. I do think it is it has to be an extenuating circumstances that the courts look at. And I would want the courts to look at this, because I truly believe that this woman um, has been battered. I believe her whole family has been living in turmoil and chaos since this guy has been in their life. I truly believe that. It doesn't give a free pass, and it never will in our book, even if it being a female, and we try our hardest to help as many females get out of situations like this as much as possible. We have the ability to give you resources if you're in the same situation. We pray that you seek help out. But we will never support any battered woman that allows and stands by and lets their children be the prey. There is a limit to what our appetite is for battered women, because most of us have been in those shoes, and we know what we were willing to put up with and what we were unwilling to put up with. And a lot of women, the line in the sand is the kids. For a lot of the women, the line in the sand is the kids. Not all the time. We're looking at one woman right here that probably doesn't know what to do. She's probably so screwed up, she doesn't even know what to do. But she is still an evil woman, because she allowed this man to pull her into this nonsense. And she basically has been covering his butt for injuring her child. And I truly believe that. I don't think this woman hurt her child. She's the one sporting the bruises. Now, I know you guys, I was in Justin For All's chat last night while it was live. I was on TV, so I couldn't chat. You guys probably didn't even know I was there. And one of the things that they put up on his channel was, now we agree that her face looks days old. It doesn't look like these are recent injuries. And so one of the things that are photos that was put up on his show was more bruising, like even on her nose, part of her lip. I even saw a little one on the opposite side of the jaw. It looked like there was a little bruise on the opposite side of the jaw. This is a woman that appears to have gotten into an altercation. I believe when she received these injuries is when something happened to her son. So we've kind of estimated, and I believe even Justin put up like the this, I guess, diagram of aging black eyes, and it kind of shows you how the progression of healing goes. And it where she was, it goes from like 1 to 2 days, from 5 to 10 days. So days 3 and 4 are missing from that diagram, but she does look like she this is an aging mark on her eye, potentially 3 to 5 or more days in the healing process. Timeline of bruising. Yeah, that's it. So what else do we have here? It says, Ice and Fire, it's nice to see you. I think the father did something, and I know something wasn't right when I heard the mother's story. It's because she was trying. I think it's because I go back and I try to figure out, what, let me see if I can get this down just a little bit, maybe. I'm going to try to get this as much in there as possible. There we go. I keep trying to figure out what was the thing that just made me feel uncomfortable. Like there's a reason that, just in my opinion, there's a reason that triggers us to think a certain way, right? For example, we are looking at the interview of the mom's story, hearing of her attack, and we're just not feeling the vibe. We're not feeling like she's being truthful, but we don't really know why. I'm actually starting to try to find out for myself what triggered that feeling or that emotion or that thought process. So I really have to go back and really start analyzing, like, little bit by bit, just bite-sized pieces, to see what it was that really just didn't sit right with me, that made me feel that their statement was inaccurate. And so when I went back and I had to just really parse it and analyze section by section, I identified for myself what it was. And I truly think is her, when she tried to tell her story, she tried too hard. And I think that is what triggered the reaction or that feeling I had inside. I felt like it was an act. The other thing was the white light. Now, granted, if you're hit in your face or your eye, you see white. You're not unconscious. You see stars, you see white. So she's describing an abusive event that did not knock her out. Now, if you guys have known my story, I talk about my story a lot because I want people to know that not all of us come from a squeaky, perfect background. I want everybody to know that sometimes your walk has to be messy and complicated to get you where you need to be. I try to inspire people to do better, that you don't have to be your best self to change your life. It's all about putting that foot in front of yourself. I've been through a lot in my time on this earth, and I've had a lot to overcome, and I try to encourage others to overcome their battles as well. Now, do I do it perfectly? Of course not. Am I this perfect being that likes to judge other people? Okay, I'm very judgmental, but it's usually related to our cases. Very rarely am I going to judge some private person's walk. You know, when we're talking about these cases and analyzing these cases, I'm cutthroat, and that's just the way it is. But I'm a very compassionate person, so I understand these walks. But we cannot sit here and allow these walks to injure children. We all have our walks, and sometimes our walks override our good judgment. I don't know why keeps kicking me it's weird. Behind the scenes it keeps kicking my Google, but then I have to touch something and it pops back up again. It's a little weird. So one of the things that she stated is that she left the outdoor facility, the game or whatever. Somebody was trying to show Justin a photo of this softball schedule or something like that. And I don't know when this happened, but August 11th they had no game. I don't know when this was. They said that there's no games, and I kept reading. He's like, "What am I looking at? What am I looking at?" I think it was the one that said everything has been canceled, or whatever. And that was on August 11th. So I'm not sure if that was directly related to the story about her being out at the fields and they needed a mouth guard. I was also watching Joseph Morris, and Joseph Morris had said that mouth guards have to be fitted. I'm not sure. I mean, yes, if you're getting one that's fitted, I would think that you need a mouth guard fitted. I'm not into these games, so I'm going to have to rely on my parents that are in the chat that are experiencing these same things. Do you have a son or a daughter that's in softball or baseball or some other type of sport that requires a mouth guard? And if you do, does that have to be molded? I mean, I have to think that there are some general fitting mouth guards out there, like small, medium, and large. You know? Or extra large if you're Bullhorn Betty. I'm just saying, I got a big mouth. What can I say? You guys come here to hear it every morning. I'm just saying. Can you guys hear this? Whoa, that sounds really, really loud. Maybe I need to turn that down just a little bit. Let's try it again. I am playing with my little buttons. I'm trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. I'm trying to figure out what works. Vinnie Politan said this one that automatically mold. Vinnie Politan said there are new ones that automatically mold. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. So, I mean, I don't know about children's mouth guards. I've never been I've never had the experience, so it's not an area of expertise I can speak on. Football practice, you have to have. No, I definitely know that the mouth guards are a pertinent part of the game for protection of the children, and it is necessary. But the story, the way that Joseph Morris was speaking about it, he says those have to be custom. They have to be molded for the student. But now that we have the possibility of them having some pre-molded or self-molding type options, then so Susie says my grandson had to have a mouth guard when he played football, and it had to be boiled first to fit his mouth. So there sounds like there's got to be another process for this mouth guard than just going and getting it, and a mother would have known that. So, is the story a hoax? I think we're all kind of feeling like the story's a hoax. We're watching law enforcement. Law enforcement is not feeling it. Okay. Law enforcement very rarely comes and tells the public squat. So for them to come out and tell the public the parents aren't cooperating and lawyered up, that's a pressure campaign. Okay, I'm sorry. I know law enforcement's behavior, and they're trying to apply pressure, and the way that they can apply pressure is through public pressure, putting stuff out and letting us do our job out there to assist. And that's kind of how these things work. It was something that we were well known for, in Gabby Petito. Law enforcement, they knew we were shaking the tree. They weren't trying to shut us down or anything like that. We came out there. There were at times that they were like, here's the new, I'm not sure if I was going to say that. Here's the new info for the day, but I digress. But, we do work hand in hand at times with law enforcement, despite what people out here on the circuit tell you guys. Some law enforcement, like Sumner County, that are more obstructionist in their own case, they don't really want anybody's help because they've got their own secrets and own baggage in the closet that they're trying to keep under wraps, that they don't want the FBI or other state agencies or federal agencies knowing about. I truly believe. Otherwise, they would be begging for help. I mean, a 15-year-old child out there, what law enforcement body wouldn't do everything they can to bring that child home and to find out what happened and hold whoever accountable? But we did find very early on that Chris and Katie Proudfoot have a direct connection with law enforcement in the area, not just Sumner County, but Henderson Police Department as well. So they have longstanding connections there, and there's this good old boy system in place that is preventing things because they want power and money. So Sebastian's case is being put to the wayside because of power and money in Sumner County. We have a law enforcement body right now here in San Bernardino, California, that truly is turning over every rock, looking at every nook and looking in every cranny. Are they going to do it perfectly? I don't think they're going to do it perfectly. Why? Because they're human. But they're doing a damn good job, and we can give them credit for that. Are you guys hearing the thank you, Angie. Are you guys hearing that my live chat, my audio for my chat, my gift box is not playing. Did you guys hear the ding for the gift box or no? Because I noticed that yesterday on the live stream when I went to replay it, the gift box pops up, but you guys don't hear the noise coming out of it, and I can't figure out how to get the noise to come out of it. No. Well, I'm hearing the ding on my end, so I know that there's a setting in here so you guys can hear the ding on your end. So I apologize about that. Maybe I do need to say, have OBS. Let me see if I can change the OBS in here and see if maybe I have to use the volume from OBS. It does says control volume via OBS. Okay, so let me go ahead and put this in here. Oh, and my chat box is off. There we go. So I think now if you guys do something, I think the chat box will have noise. Hopefully it's not like blood-curdling, glaring noise, but I think the chat box is now officially open. Okay, so getting back onto this, we have San Bernardino, California. That is, they didn't buy the parents' story. I mean, I'm sure they did at first because obviously they did bring out dogs, right? The woman calls in. I don't think it's the first. I don't think when parents call in their children missing, it is the first opinion of law enforcement that the child is in harm's way, because we have a lot of children that go missing on a regular basis, and many of them are found. Have you guys looked at our numbers? We have like 500,000 people go missing every year across this country, maybe even more. And the majority of them are found and brought back. Did you guys hear that? Hopefully you guys heard that. Hi, Sebastian's Army. It's nice to see you. Anna, Sonia, I never said hi to you guys this morning. I am so sorry. Golly, I'm just a rude Betty. We have a new Betty. We have Rudy Betty. I was battered for 5 years, both mentally and physically. He made me believe I was stupid to be on my own with our son. But after really bad, I got out after my son tried to pull him off of me. Yeah, this is the reality of stuff, but usually for mothers, when it starts affecting the children, that's usually when they start pulling up their bootstraps, and many women lose their life during this time, leaving their abuser. But there's a lot of mothers out there that did not make it, but they tried, and most of them are trying for their children. They want their children to have a better life, and they're tired of their children seeing this. Usually moms make life decisions when their children are begging them to make life decisions. The minute she saw this man violently touch her son for the first time, she should have walked out the door. As difficult as it is, and I can tell you this woman's mentality. We all know this woman's mentality, just like Peggy just said. Mentally and physically, you are bankrupt. These people bankrupt you. You don't know which way is up or which way is down. All you know is eggshells and just trying to keep the peace. It is a war zone in some of these homes. It is literally a war zone. It is the Gaza Strip. Sonia gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. I didn't hear that ding that time, so I don't know why. 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships have been, but why is my dings not coming up? We just fixed the dings, did we not? We should have dings. There we go. We'll keep moving this up just a tad bit. We have a few of them. Thank you. Thank you, Sonia. Let's see who all got those gift. Okay, so we have, here's our list. Sonia gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you received your gifted Bullhorn Betty membership from Sonia, don't forget to tell our beautiful Sonia thank you. And for the 5 beautiful people that came aboard, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard. You will need a padded surface because we do beat our heads quite often. We would have brain damage if we were not in the insane asylum. I'm just saying. It's my hair. I keep flipping my hair the wrong way. I put my part in my flip on the opposite side and it's driving me nuts. I can't flip it right. But I'm determined to flip the opposite direction. I'm trying to train my hair. Eventually I'll have a split going this way and a split going this way. And we'll be doing something with this, but right now I'm in the training of the hair. Look at how that turned out. I think that really turned out really well. If you guys remember, I was blonde forever. I fried my hair as much as I could. It was just one of those things. I love blonde. I may go back to blonde. But as you see, my hair is a little bit darker, but it does have, well, it's probably because of the white. It does have like the, and the blonde's almost completely cut out. It almost took me, 2 years? We went through the whole helmet phase and everything. You guys stuck with me through. You guys are troopers. You guys are troopers. you guys stuck through the helmet phase. So now we're finally getting the hair where it's nice. I can't wait to get the rest of this blonde cut out of it. I'm trying to go all natural, just to I just want to feel it, I'm kind of getting a little older now. If I can quit having to, I'm waiting for the hair to go. I'll be honest with you. I'm waiting for my hair to turn white, okay? Because you guys know I love my blonde. I love being platinum, okay? I love it. So I'm thinking I'm closer now than I've ever been before for all natural to take over, and it's just not taking over as quickly as I want. But people are like, "Hey, Betty, slow down," you might enjoy those pigments in your hair right now. The pigments go away after a while, babe. But then the way I look at it, because I love Betty White, and that was one of the things, many people don't know Betty White did her hair for many years. She did not have a professional hairdresser to do her hair. So she always said, I couldn't wait until my head turned white so I didn't have to do so much. She just went over there and did this and did this, and next thing you know, she's got gorgeous hair. That's what made me change my mind. It was the Betty White. Betty White said something about her hair, and I'm like, oh, that's really smart. So she just waited until she got old and she quit doing her hair because her hair finally caught up with all the work she's been doing. That's where I'm going. Blame Betty. Oh gosh, white hair. No, your hair looks amazing. Yeah, thank you. Well, you'd be kind of surprised because there's a lot more gray in this than what you'd think. Is Pete in the house? It's nice to see you, Pete. I hope you're doing well. Oh, you're the one that said your hair looks great. Thank you. Thank you, love. Thank you, love. So we're learning a little bit more about this. I came across this dude that came up in my, he's got like 90,000 subscribers, and he really got some good stuff. So we're going to look at some of the stuff he found out, but the family here is not good. The family here is not good. As a matter of fact, I thought when I thought my story today was going to be on Jaden Spicer. I thought this was Jaden Spicer's family when I first started reading it, and then I had to go up and look at the title, and it said Emmanuel Harrow, and I'm like, oh. But getting on, the first thing we're going to go through is these right here. I think this is well known around these parts now that we're not, that the parking lot may have had no cameras in it, but the illusion that there's no cameras out here to capture what happened, that's not true. There's many cameras on her trip to that Big Five sporting goods store, which is good for law enforcement. Here's why. Because one of the things that we learned is that they were out at this, out at the fields. They were out at the fields allegedly with their other child. The mother of the other child was out there and actually brought the father in. Now, I'm not even going to get into this conversation just yet, but the woman that was out there, from my understanding, would have been the woman that had the children that were being abused, where this man went to prison for it. So why in Sam's you-know-what was this woman doing hanging out with that father to the point where she drove him to the Big Five to see his wife? Now, I got all kinds of problems with that. All kinds of problems with that. I don't know where these women, where this man is able to find two of the most selfish and self-absorbed women in my life. I don't know where he finds them. But I can tell you, if a man ever laid their hands on my child, the last thing I'm doing, even in an emergency, is driving that scumbag anywhere with me or my children. I'd suggest you call 911 and get yourself a ride. But, I definitely do not trust you. You've beat me. You've beat my kids. I'm not going to be alone in a vehicle with you. Hell to the nah, nah, nah. That is not what we got. We heard from the story that it was the ex, the mother of the older child out there, that drove him up to his wife from the fields, allegedly. Allegedly. We don't know what inconsistencies they challenged Rebecca on. I don't know, was it the camera? We had one guy out there, his name is Ahmed, something like that. He's out there, and he went around the entire building. There is cameras that focus in that direction. Would they be able to see what happened? Possibly. But going back to the timing, timing is everything. And this is going to be important, because I just don't believe this lady's going to be hanging out in the parking lot for an hour. And I think it's very, very important, because what we've learned is it's around 7:47. Hold on, let me read. I've got the statement in my phone. Here it is. Yeah, around 7:47. So it says, at around 7:47 p.m. local time on August 14th, deputies responded to reports that Emmanuel went missing in Yucaipa from the 3400 block of Yucaipa Boulevard, according to the police. So that 7:47 is a time that's registered in law enforcement. So we have some type of timing, of when the call came in, and they're saying it was around 7:47 p.m. Now we're also learning that the fields, and somebody's might have to correct me here. Let me make sure I'm monitoring you guys properly here. Same, could it possibly be order from the court to allowing him to see the child? Yes, Peggy, I agree that could be a possibility. But allowing him to see the child and loading the abuser up into a car and taking them somewhere is two totally different things. There's Uber, there's whatever. No, I can't let you in the car. You've been convicted of beating my child. You're going to have to find another way up to your wife. That's the point I'm making. We don't put ourselves in harm's way when somebody that abused us or our children went to jail for years. We don't help people like that. We feel bad, but at the end of the day, we protect ourselves, especially against prior abusers. So this whole thing, I don't quite understand. But yeah, I'm sure there is a court order that allows him those children. I also found out that he's an illegal, and in normal circumstances that would not matter. But in this circumstances, we've got a new president. He's rounding up violent criminals. This man has been convicted and spent time in jail for cruelty to children, and he's got a missing child. I'm pretty confident he's not going to be in this country. So any parent that has children with him are not going to have to deal with the whole court order system in the near future to begin with, the way I'm looking at it. Now, I could be totally wrong. And you could have your feelings about whatever, but in all fairness, I wouldn't disagree to this deportation, to be honest with you. So I'm not going to lose any sleep. Town Chat Cafe, it's nice to see you. Gigi, it's nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. Let me see if there's any. I still don't understand why she would go get mouth guards when the practice was almost over. Well, you know what? I have a theory. I kind of have a theory of what happened. I think this was kind of planned. I think, we saw like in the the stuff that Justin put out yesterday, you saw them walking with the cart and with a umbrella over that cart to keep whatever child's in that cart. They had a brand new baby, 7-month old. Who's looking in the cart to see the baby's face? How do we know that they didn't play this little charade of bringing the baby with them, and then, oh, I gotta go grab a mouth guard, honey, I'll be back. I'll take Emmanuel with me. And then gets there, and there was never a child to begin with. Their baby was never out there. How long were they out there? Who saw the baby the whole time that they were out there? Did anybody out there at the event, the sporting event, did anybody see this baby? Because I think that might be the discrepancy that they're going to be challenging these parents on. Wait a minute. You know what? You guys were out there for 4 hours and not one person in that audience ever recalls seeing the baby. I don't believe that the baby was at the park, because where would the baby be? The baby would have had to been, they can follow her path from the park there. They can check every dumpster, see every stop she made. And I guarantee they're not going to see that, because that child, in my opinion, and I expressed this yesterday or the day before, that I believe this child met his demise before, days before. I think that bruise on her face, I think the reason why they used that in this situation is because it was you can see it on her face. She figured she would be able to use the abuse that she had that most likely claimed her son's life, and use that as a way to help them get out of it by saying somebody else took the child, because she still can't come to the realization that her husband is responsible. She's still thinking that somehow this is going to be okay, and her family's not doing her any justice by coddling her. They're actually making her situation worse, because she's really thinking she's getting away with all this stuff. And if she knew that the noose was, tightening, maybe she would loosen up and just tell law enforcement what she needs to tell them to save her own ass. She's got other children she needs to be concerned about. She needs to cut ties with this douche and start advocating for her children. She's going to have consequences over this. But if she starts doing the right thing, hopefully those consequences won't be so bad. I know, Jill. It's hard. It's hard. Yes, we were just talking about that Misty T. People were saying, and that's why I said, I do believe this woman is a battered woman. Okay, we've all seen it. Most of us have experience of being battered. So we do have a sympathetic heart to battered women, and we want to help battered women get out of their situation, but we also have a line in the sand for ourselves, okay? We advocate for battered women and children, but the line in the sand is you're not going to protect the abuser. Okay? When push comes to shove, when you're in a situation like this, our line in the sand is children. You want to get the shit beat out of you, you don't want to get strong and walk out the door, that's on you. I mean, we can only do so much for you. We can tell you the most dangerous time is leaving. We can supply you with as many resources as possible, but it's like an addiction. Until you're ready to say you've had enough, nobody is going to be able to help you. But the one thing we will not tolerate, even being battered women ourselves, is the children. That is the line in the sand for many of us. We know your struggle. We've been there. But you know what? We never allowed it to get to that point. Or if it did, that was our marching orders. You can put your hands on us, but the minute you start touching our children, that's the end of the rope. And so even though we are sympathetic to these causes, even though we have a bleeding heart for battered women, and we want to help them, and we want to make sure they thrive, some of them have done so much damage, we can't help them. And this is the situation we're in with Rebecca. Okay? We're trying to help her, but she has to be willing to help herself and her children, and that means leaving him and telling the truth, accepting the consequences, and begging for mercy. That is the only thing that is going to save this woman. but she refuses to do it. Her children have been removed from her home, and she still lays up with this man. That's something that we here cannot help with. As a matter of fact, that's when we turn our back on battered women, is when this is the case. And so, unfortunately, we're not going to be saying anything positive about this mother. This mother is going to be treated on this channel no differently than the man, than Jake. She's going to undergo the same wrath of this channel as every other criminal parent that we come across. She gets no breaks. She gets no free passes. We are no longer going to consider the battered wife as the excuse. She's had ample time to speak up and get herself out of that situation before anything else happens, and she has chosen to stand by her man. That's not okay. That's not okay. But the good news is we have a law enforcement body out there that is committed to this child. Okay, this is not Sumner County, Tennessee. This is San Bernardino, California. And it sounds to me like they are not taking any of these parents' crap. They're going to continue to investigate, and they are on the same mindset. They are on the same mindset as the rest of us. I will tell Delilah, knock it off. I will tell you guys, this morning was ultra emotional for me. One of the cats got a hold of a baby bird. The baby bird, me and one of the neighbor ladies down the road, the owner of the cat, was up at 6:30 this morning chasing a cat out around. We know he didn't shake the bird, so we were hopeful that the bird didn't have a broken neck or anything like that. We did finally corral the cat. It's the one I call Boris. His name's actually Jaden, which is ironic because we're covering a person by the name of Jaden Spicer. It gave me a little, made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I call him Boris because he's a big orange cat. His name's Jaden. Anyways, Jaden had this bird in his mouth, and the bird was staying still, and he wasn't shaking it, so we were able to corral and get the bird. So at 6:30 this morning, I'm knocking on Glenn's door. Glenn is our neighborhood watch guy. He's the one that feeds the birds. He's the one that plants the oregano and peppers and all of that stuff. So long story short is it appears the baby bird is healthy. The baby bird was in a little bit of shock, but the baby bird allowed me to hold him and take him over. I calmed the bird down. The bird just sat in my hand, and now Glenn is now taking care of the bird, and the bird is being nursed back to health. It was a baby bird, but it was I don't know what kind of bird it was, but it fit right in my hand. It might have been an adult bird that's just a smaller bird because the bird's body fit in the palm of my hand. But either way, I think we're going to be fine. If the bird stops eating or something like that, I think we're going to have to call in for some reinforcements, but we just want to get the bird healthy and able to fly. I think maybe one of the wings might have been injured because the bird did try to get off the ground and couldn't. So we're just going to keep working with the bird until the bird is healthy, and I try to help a bird. My dog once, I know, I was so scared the bird was going to, I just wanted to make sure that the cat was not, it's the shaking that tears these animals apart. So he just had the bird in his mouth. As soon as he caught the bird, I saw it. So immediately I was over in the neighbor's yard trying to get the cat. So it wasn't something that he was just running around with. I actually saw the catch of the bird and immediately ran over there. And the neighbor that owns the cat saw me running over there, realized what was happening, and tried to come and help me corral the cat to get the bird. So bird has been saved. We hope. Say a prayer for the bird. I don't think the bird's out of the woodworks yet, but a sparrow maybe. It's possible. I'm not a bird I love seeing birds, but I only know like cardinals and blue jays and some different type, like a red hawk, obviously the bald eagle, but all the other little birds I'm unfamiliar with. So I chased a pigeon in the parking lot, and finally caught it and took it to the ER vet. Well, this bird seems like it might be okay. I just want to keep it away from they're eating the birds. I know. I'm just trying to keep it safe. Yeah, Glenn, I bring him over all of my bread. Every morning he gets up and goes out there and makes sure all the squirrels and all the squirrels and the birds have breakfast every morning, so I contribute. Is Van Lady in here? Oh, VA. Okay, got it. I thought it was Van Lady. We haven't heard from Van Lady in a while, as a matter of fact. Trust the process. My roommate just got me a hummingbird figure with a key. Aw, yep. We got another one, Birdie Betty. I just can't stand it. I just didn't want, because I went out there and the cat got a mouse. I don't know where this mouse came from, but it looks like it came from like maybe Glenn's shop area, because you could see where the altercation went. It came up over the fence and it broke this entire plant. Like the plant was laying over. So it was a fight for the life of this poor little mouse. And whenever, like, I took Delilah out to potty, nothing was there. And then all of a sudden she needed to go out a couple hours later. So I took her out and she went straight. I'm like, oh, no. I had to go to shovel and the whole neck was missing. I felt so bad. I don't want any animal hurting. You guys don't understand. I will cry if I step on a snail. I am just an animal, like just a creature lover. Okay. As long as, and even the snakes, I'm fine with snakes as long as they're not in my yard. They're not near me. Okay. Yeah. I like snakes from afar. I will hold a bald python, a non-lethal snake. I'm not like terrified of them, but I don't want snakes dead. I want them to live in their environment. We've already muckied up their environment enough with all of our houses, roads, and everything else. I don't love snakes either. I don't love them at all, but they are definitely a necessary evil, So I just I worry about my dog. But Delilah listens. Like, even when I keep calling him Boris. I'm gonna have to start changing his name to Jaden's because I like to call their names. But Jaden, when he saw the bird, that's what caught my attention. When he saw the bird struggling, he ran out of my yard, and my dog went to go follow him, and I'm like, no, and she stopped, which is good. And so he ran out in the road and around the gate and over to the other neighbor's yard, grabbed this bird, and that was kind of it. Okay, so that was my morning. Let's get back to Emmanuel. So the one thing that we know is that Emmanuel's mother called law enforcement or ran into the Big Five screaming about her being abducted at about 7:45 to 7:47. I'm pretty sure she went in there and was acting crazy, and people were probably having to console her, calm her down to find out what happened. I'd have to think that would take about 60 seconds. We're playing the tape through to try to figure out the time. I think 60 seconds might be a little long because a lot can happen in 60 seconds. But I digress. So from 7:45 most likely to 7:47 is when she's walking into the facility, making this commotion, and law enforcement is then called. Now, with these cameras, they would be able to tell whether she arrived, because according to information from the sister, I believe, we're going to get into that statement here in just a second. She left the sporting event around 7, and that the husband half and his ex were sitting there and realized, wait, she's been gone an awful long time. And then boom, she calls her husband, says the baby's been abducted. His ex and him load up the kids and him into the vehicle, and she takes him down to Big Five. So that's where that is coming from. But these cameras are going to play a vital role to find out whether she was truly in that parking lot for an hour. I don't see her sitting there in her vehicle for an hour. Now, if she was trying to get away from, say, the husband's ex so she can, have the whole timing down, then she would have most likely sat in the parking lot of the sporting event to kill time versus spending time in the parking lot at the Big Five. But there's no determination of that. I do believe that these cameras are going to play a vital role into her arrival at that Big Five. And I'm almost confident that her story does not line up with the timeline of her going through this intersection to the Big Five prior to her having this commotion about her baby being missing. Most people, their adrenaline's rushing. They're not realizing time is moving much quicker or slower than it truly is. And so what may feel like an hour to her may only be 15 or 20 minutes. So we have to look at it from that lens as well. And is it possible? It's possible. There's nothing to determine it yet. All the information related to the stuff I'm talking about, law enforcement has, but probably will not be up for public consumption until trial. Maggie says, I heard they went to that store a week earlier and said the car was broken into. The store informed them there's no cameras in the lot. Rumors from employees. So they had a prior experience that gave them a way out. Wow. Interesting. Now, of course, all these things could be rumored. We don't have anything, but yeah, it does make sense because we know people will only go to places they've been before typically because they're comfortable. This would have made her ultra comfortable in that particular parking lot. I wonder if she bought the mouthguard a week prior to that. And so she was just, because some people, in order for them to sell the lie, a level of truth is in that lie. We've been talked about that for years. That's what makes the lies so believable, is because there is some truth to the lie. I doubt he was that concerned. He needed to establish a timeline with no witnesses. Yeah, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, in my opinion, to... Oh, thank you. Pisces Trail Rules just subscribed. Thank you so much for your subscription. I appreciate that. Timeline. They needed to establish a timeline, no doubt. But the witnesses, that's where they're going to get complicated, because I don't think anybody could have possibly seen this child. If that event went on, and I'm still, I don't know whether that event was on or not. People out there is going to have to say something. It looks like this all happened on the 14th. Practice or whatever was canceled on the 11th, 3 days prior to that. This was at the end of the game. How do we know that the child that they were there for was not done for the game? How do we know that that's when they decided to leave or orchestrate this? But I'm interested in the girlfriend or the ex. I'm interested if the ex, how long the ex was on the property out there. Was the ex there the entire event, sporting event, or did she just drop the child off because the other family was there and just came back to pick the child up at the end? We need to find out that does play into this, because who saw Emmanuel out there at the park? Was their other daughter out there at the park? These are all we've got a lot of questions. But here's something from Vinnie Politan. We're only going to take the first few moments of it. As you can see, it's starting about 4 minutes in. Let me go ahead and take this and copy this. Hold on a second. See. So if you guys would like to watch the entirety of Vinnie Politan, please consider going over there. Let me know if you guys can hear this.
Okay, so that's how the story broke. So it begins with a very specific story of what happened, right? That this child was abducted. This child was abducted and taken from mom. So The story is they're at football practice for their other child, and mom has to leave the football practice to go buy a mouth guard. So she goes over to Big Five to buy a mouth guard. And while she's there, notices that the baby needs a change. So she lays him down in the back seat. Like many parents do this, right? You lay him in the back seat next to the car seat. And that's when she says, someone comes up from behind, says, hola. Okay. So it's someone who's speaking Spanish. And then knocks her out, and she sees white, and then the baby's gone. So that's her story, right? So
Getting back to that white, I have a problem with this whole white light she saw. Because to me, if you see white light or stars, you're not knocked out. You're not, because when you're knocked out, you see black. Okay? I don't know how many of you guys have been knocked out, but the last thing I saw was white. I don't remember anything until I woke up. And of course, it wasn't from being knocked out, it was from something else. But at the end of the day, white, the only time I've ever seen white is when somebody's hit me. It made me, woo, but I wasn't down. And I think she's describing a beating from Jake. But even the beating from Jake, she wasn't knocked out if she was seeing white. That's just my personal opinion, based on my own personal experience. I don't know what your personal experience is, but if you're seeing white, I don't think you're knocked out. I'm sorry, I just don't.
what I do have, let me get this back up. I could show you the scene of where this allegedly happened, this abduction, right? It's here at the
Hey,
Big
Strawberry.
Five in Yucaipa. So this is the parking lot. So it should be parked somewhere in the parking lot. So you can see you're not in the middle of a big city, right? You're not in the middle of a big city. But it's just a normal kind of strip mall.
But the idea, I think the most important is the idea that there are no cameras. There may not be cameras out in the parking lot per se. I see dark right before I fell off the bar stool in my younger days. Thanks for your guys' experience. Yep, in my opinion, at home. She said chair and floor. Yeah. I think that's leakage. At night when my mom said it was Asian and now is Hispanic. Oh, interesting. Huh. I saw his white hoodie. If he was white, yeah. Well, and that's, we know that he was brought there by I believe his girlfriend, or I keep calling her girlfriend, his ex. It says, when the baby's dad was talking in one instance during an interview, he said the baby was healthy. Yeah. We definitely, Angie, got the whole past tense. I think that was one of them, because there's certain things that we as true crime genre, story investigators reporting on these stories, we pay very, very close attention to every single word. Not the sentence. Every single word is isolated and analyzed when we have statements from parents. So the one red flag that we always, always, always look for when we're listening to a possible witness / suspect or subject of the investigation, we listen to the words, and we are intently listening to the words, and we're specifically listening for any past tense language. And I think that over the years, it just comes natural to us that we hear it and we're like, well, there's a was, because we're so in tuned and it's so ingrained into the true crime community that we are always looking for past tense language. And it was just pelted out of his mouth. Boom, 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 boom. Was healthy, was this, was that. And we're like, was? Who's thinking of was? Who's thinking of was? Is. is. He is a healthy baby. He is a happy baby. He is. He already knows the answer to the fate of this child in those interviews. And we know that because, again, whether or not we intended to be skilled in words, over the years of being true crime content creators and people that watch content creators, true crime content creators, we've just learned over time. It's like any other profession with on-the-job training. You may not know how to cook, but as soon as you go into your first, burger joint and work there, you know how to make burgers. Why? Because you learned every single day as you're working at this place on the job training. We come here with our open ears and our open minds to learn about these cases, and we've studied hundreds of cases at this point. Hundreds. That we have now ingrained into us these skills, these detective skills, when we're listening to these stories. And I truly believe it's just by the repetition and the amount of content we consume related to crime. He has gang tattoos. We're going to have problems with this guy. I can tell you that whether or not you like what's going on in this country, this guy's going to be picked up. We know that. They're not playing at this point. I think we all are very, very acutely aware that nobody is playing with people that are here from a different country improperly and then commit crimes, horrible, violent crimes, and now this one's affecting children. I don't see this guy's future being in the United States, quite frankly. He might serve his sentences here, but as soon as his sentences are done, he's gone. And I'm fine with that. I want anybody that hurts children out of this country. I wish we could deport American citizens. Raise your hand if we wish we could deport the horrible American citizens. I mean, why are we cutting it off for the people? Like, let's trace their background. Where do they come from? Ireland? Okay. So they have a history of Ireland. They got some Irish and Scottish in them. It's time to send them back to their land. It's time to send them back to their land. Let's do some DNAs. Yeah, I know. We're changing things, I'm sorry. We are a melting pot of people. I think we should be able to remove citizenship for Americans at this point. I just want this stuff to stop, right? I want this stuff to stop. And we've got some pretty violent Americans that live right here in our country that I would like not to be housing. I would love to send them back to their homeland. Okay? I mean, I don't know which homeland most of us are Heinz 57. Whichever one they have the most of, okay? I think mine is Irish or Scottish. I think that's where, so if I committed a violent crime, I think I should be deported back to like Ireland or Scotland, right? That's controversial, I know. I figured it'd be more palatable if we talked about American citizens. Nobody ever talks about solutions for us, right? All criminals, yeah. All criminals, that means all their... I agree. That is funny. Come stay with me. There you go. I will. One day. I tell everybody, the reason why I haven't gotten my my passport is because I'm terrified of going to another country. They're going to say, oh, Betty's coming. Lock her up. I'd go to Scotland. But it's nice to visit. But when you're forced to go back to the country where your origin is from, if you hurt a child, I think that would be like, I think it would cause us some major turmoil across the world. They're like, no, we ain't taking those. You're sending us all your garbage. All right, let's change this topic. But, I'm always looking for ways just to keep this garbage away from us. I mean, that really is the goal, right? It's not really about just, getting people out of here, getting people in prison. It's just keeping them away from us. That's what we need. We need these people that don't value our lives to stay away from us. And that's what upsets me when we have the violent crimes and we see these people. I mean, so much so that Brian Enton did a report on it. Now, Brian Enton, I love Brian Enton. He's a sweet guy. He doesn't think like me. I don't think he cares for my politics like I do. I think he might be, but I still love him. I still think he's a great person. And he's even talking about what is going on with all these violent criminals getting these low bonds. It's kind of hard to argue with that, yeah? I mean, for me, it seems like it's really kind of hard to argue with the fact that we're seeing it. Look at Austin Drummond. Austin Drummond should have never been let out of prison. If they would have just given him a bond, an extensive, like he brought a firearm into a penal facility when he's been a prisoner in that penal facility for almost 10 years. He got a attempted murder charge while serving a violent crime sentence, and they let him out. And because of it, 4 people are gone. And then we've got this lady that just beat the crap out of this little boy at a daycare. Do you know that she walked out of jail with $2,500? Did you see that little boy with all those bruises on that? They looked worse than frickin' this Yahoo here with Emmanuel, Rebecca frickin' Haro. His face was black and blue. His poor little eye was swollen shut. And a judge let her, what the I don't know what else to say. I truly don't know what else to say. We're here trying to advocate for these children, trying to bring awareness to these horrible laws and policies that are keeping us in danger and keeping our families in danger. And we have people that have committed themselves to justice and just disregard justice over these violent offenders, putting us, the law-abiding American citizens, in jeopardy of harm. What happens if this lady goes out and hurts another child when she should have been in jail? What happens if she goes out and gets drunk and drives her car and kills an entire family when she should have been in jail? This guy right here that we're talking about, related to Emmanuel, a 7-month-old baby, should never even have been around children. Should have never been around children. And here we go. Now we have a child missing, most likely gone, at the hands of this monster that should have been in jail. And when he got out of jail, should never even have stepped foot back on the United States soil again. Sorry, not sorry. Hate me, love me, okay.
Right? I'll zoom back around here so you can get a better idea of what the parking lot looks like. This is the scene. You've got a big lots there as well. Now, up here, you do have...
Look at it. This is during the day. Now, I would have to think that people that are out and about at night, there's cars in this parking lot. This looks like nobody makes a plaza in the middle of some place where nobody shows up to the plaza, okay? There is economical calculations they do to find out how many people. I mean, they are very skilled in putting these shopping plazas in places that are going to attract people to come shop to. because many people don't know how leases work in these facilities. So you get like a per square foot charge. Oh, thank you, Janie. Janie just subscribed and became the newest subscriber to the Bullhorn Betty channel. Thank you. Turn the volume down. I don't know what to do with the volume yet. We'll one day we'll do a live here just to adjust the entire show. Just to go through all the stuff so we can get a settings page. So when I come in here in the morning, I can just go through a checklist and say, okay, is this right? 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 That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. Oh, hey. Hey, Emma. Wales, UK. It's nice to see you, my love. I hope you're doing well. I wish we could hear the pings. I keep thinking you guys can hear the pings. Let me see. Let me just, let me try it again. Hold on. Let's see if we can get this to work. Gift chat. Oh, that's why. Okay, let's see if this works. Maybe that'll work? I don't know. Hopefully that works. Monitor off. Everything else has got monitor off in it. You guys can still hear it. I've got to turn the gift chat from monitor and output. So maybe that's because it's the dingy thingy. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. You guys can hear Vinnie, right? You guys can hear him crystal clear. Did you guys hear that? Destiny just subscribed. It's nice to see you, Destiny. Hopefully you guys heard that. Okay, yes, you guys heard that one. Okay, perfect. Okay. There we go. There we go. Okay, hopefully you guys hear it. Yeah, it's just trying to find this. So my gift chat needs to be on monitor and output. My live chat needs to be monitor off. My screen capture needs to be monitored off. And my mic is monitor off. So it's just weird because everything else that you guys can hear is on monitor off and you guys can hear it. But the only way I can get you guys to hear the gift chat is if it's on monitor and output. So that's interesting. Aw, thank you. You guys are like the dings, like the dings. They mentioned CCTV. Sorry, I'm hearing different things. Yes, Emma. So it is my belief that they do have this lady on some type of CCTV footage. There was a guy, I think his name was Ahmed, and he was out there and he walked around the entire, he actually ran around the entire building, and he found a jewelry shop. And it was kind of across the plaza parking lot, but the camera was angled. Oh, they're saying it was broken. So the CCTV footage that Ahmed found on the side of the jewelry shop, that was broken. Because he went over there and showed us, and the camera was literally pointed right in the direction of her. If they could get their hands on that. Now, granted, it would be blurry footage, but you can definitely will be able to tell if a third party was there. Or if there was a second party there, like i.e. the child. Because according to our theory, the child was never in that vehicle with them. The child never went out to that sporting event. That child was deceased prior to that event even happening. How long? I don't know. I believe what may have happened is there was a violent altercation in their home days before. The child was injured as a result of that, and they thought they were going to be able to keep that child safe and take care of that child, and the child ultimately succumbed to the injuries because they never took the child to the hospital or the doctor. And so within days of that happening, that's when I believe that they set out this. But by that time, she's already had healing from her eye because they thought that the baby was going to make it. That's kind of how I'm kind of seeing everything happening. Now, does that mean that's true? No, that's just a theory based on very limited information that we have out there available in the public. And a lot of the stuff is, it's difficult because you're always having to play the game of, is this accurate information? That's what we're having a problem with. Is this accurate information? Are these people that are posting stuff on Facebook, are they providing us accurate information, or they're trying to take their 15 minutes of fame based upon their assumptions or theories. And that's kind of where we have to really start slowing down and analyzing a little bit and putting those disclaimers that this may not be true, do your own research, blah 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 blah. And that's where we're at. Have you heard Conrad Ashkoff's case? His family finally got some kind of justice, and the daycare worker got charged for his death. I think I do remember something like that. I can't be 100%. I'm hearing cracking in my mic for some reason. Let me make sure we're not going crazy. Make sure my latency is okay. Be sure to follow. Oh, thank you, Sonia. Getting back to that, Conrad Ashcroft. I kind of remember that. Wasn't that the child that was kind of like they didn't even know the child was deceased until the parents showed up, and they had like an 18-pound weighted blanket on him and he suffocated. I think that might be the one you're talking about. There are a few of them from the daycares, so I just want to make sure that that's the right one. I'm not sure. Aw, Eeyore Blues, become the newest member of this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket and your padded room and welcome aboard. Of course, you've been part of the family for quite some time. Yes. They said they went in, said someone broke into their car. That's interesting. That's interesting. So it makes you wonder. So that was about a week earlier. So I'm curious as to if they're. Oh, thank you, Melanie. I'm curious if they had the child that day, the baby, Emmanuel. I have a funny feeling they probably did, and she probably wasn't sporting a black eye if it was days prior to that. Let's hope that is true. Shows intent right there. I agree. Betty, was Emmanuel seen at the... People have been asking that. I didn't even realize until last night watching Justin For All's channel. I had no clue that there was a recent funeral, and we learned that one of... I believe it's Rebecca's family member, maybe her nephew, lost his battle with substances and OD'd. And that's what I'm hearing. Now, again, do your own research. I don't know that factually or not. It's just what I'm hearing. And that they recently had this funeral. I don't know how many days prior to this event that they had this funeral, or if she was sporting the black eye at the funeral, or if the child was there or not there, or if any other of their children. Remember, they have a younger daughter as well together. Was that child at this funeral? So we have a lot of questions related to this funeral, but I had no clue about this funeral until yesterday. So I had no clue that there was another person in their family that met their demise. Now, there is another wealth of information that has me a little concerned, and I believe it's this one here. Okay, this I think we'll get to it here. Let's just get over here. We'll have to go back a little bit.
Does have a criminal record, and the grandmother told us that investigators were out at the couple's home in Cabazon searching the home with cadaver dogs and also digging up parts of the property. We tried to reach out to San Bernardino County investigators for any information on that, but they aren't taking any more questions today. Meantime, they are asking anyone with any information about this 8 crime.
Over. Big shout out to everybody who's watching. I want to clear some things up. So yesterday we spoke about Charlie, who was the nephew that passed away.
Okay, here's the information that I have related to the nephew. So hopefully, Faye, maybe I haven't watched this yet, so we're watching it together. But it was queued up because I did review some of the stuff that I was going to be talking about, not this particular topic, but since he is discussing it, maybe we can get a little insight related to the nephew's funeral.
We didn't know whether Charlie was a child, because obviously we just quite possibly lost a child in this family, or if they were an adult. So we got some confirming information from the research crew doing the great work that they usually do. Man, big shout out to the research crew. You guys have no idea how integral they are to the show. So this is Charlie. Charlie is an adult. Charlie allegedly died from a fentanyl overdose. Charlie is the nephew of Rebecca.
Give me a second.
So this is the Charlie. This is his GoFundMe.
Come here, Hold on, turn my mic down just real quick. Hold on a second, guys. Let me get Delilah situated. You got it. There you go. Hi. You want to say hi to everybody? Come here. Don't kick my microphones, my speaker out. Come on. Say hi. Say hi, everybody. I'm out here making noise. I hear cats and dogs and chickens out there, and I keep thinking somebody's going to get in the house, and I want to make sure my mommy's protected. So hi, everybody. Hi, Coffee Club. All right, go down. There you go. Quit barking. All right, let's get back.
It says, our hearts are broken after sudden loss of our beloved son, grandson, father, and friend to the silent epidemic claiming too many lives, fentanyl. We hope to honor his memory and help others see the dangers before it's too late. Any support towards burial costs is deeply appreciated. All right. We should be able to see here's Jake Harrow. He gave $300. It says, there's no words to express how deeply sorry I am for your loss of your son. We are here for you, Rebecca and Jake Harrow. Wouldn't it be crazy that 23 days ago, they left this money and these salutations or whatever to their extended family, and then 2 weeks later, they killed their own kid?
Wow, pretty bold statement. Pretty bold statement. And I think we're all on that mindset that this child's not here with us. I don't know how many of you guys aren't here, don't believe that he's gone. The story's just too unbelievable. The story's just too unbelievable. Funny how the sister defended them. Well, you know what? I'm looking at her. She looks like she might be in an abusive relationship. Her it could be a biting problem. I look at people's faces, and how, Jaden Spicer's mom, she has kind of this weird jawline, and I think she's had a prior broken jaw that she didn't have medically fixed, and it probably causes a bite problem. But I noticed that the way his sister talks, I don't know if she has a cross bite, or if she's also had, somebody hurt her in her mouth. But it's the way she's talking. Her teeth she looks like she's talking like but it's just like when she talks like this. And so it just doesn't, I can't tell whether it's from abuse or if it's just from the way her jaw grows naturally. But she has like this crossbite. And she also knows that this is his sister. She knows that he was in prison. She knows that he was in prison for cruelty to children, and to be so adamant that there's no possibility of him being able to do this is beyond bizarre to me, because he clearly has a history of not being able to keep his hands off little kids and hurting little kids. That's his history. I didn't give him that history. He gave himself that history. You didn't give him that history. Betty, thank you, Melanie. Reminding everybody to show some love. Show some love. We are a love channel over here that kicks the crap out of people that do horrible. We love love. We don't like hate. We don't like abuse. We don't like children being hurt. We don't like parents being hurt either. We don't like anybody being hurt. We want to live, we want a kumbaya life. We know that is not saturated in reality. We're not getting our kumbaya life. But most of us that are on here that cover true crime, that watch true crime, I think we're curious of how people can do this to one another. I know that is for me. Like, one of the most bizarre things, I think one of the things that keeps my attention to these cases is I just don't understand these suspects. I don't understand how they can hurt another human being. We've all been angry, right? We've all been angry. We all probably have something or someone we absolutely despise, if not hate. Yet we do not act on those. We, as a civilized people, we learn to keep our emotions in check. Sometimes it's very, very difficult. Sometimes we just want to lash out. But what do? We take deep breaths. We go for a walk. We read a book. We cuss somebody out. We, piss in somebody else's Cheerios. I mean, reality is somebody is. Somebody's having a bad day and taking it out on somebody else. But at the end of the day, we don't allow ourselves to engage in those horrible thoughts. We can't change what comes through our brains. Our brains kind of, they control us, not the other way around, right? But what we do is we control ourselves. We control that inner beast. We've learned over time that this is not the way of life. We can't act like this. If we act like this, there's consequences. So what do? We self-regulate. Why? Because we don't want to pay those consequences. So we talk about our feelings. We tell people how we want to just pop their heads off. And we go on with our lives and we keep advocating. But at the end of the day, we've got parents out there that are doing terrible things to their children on a daily basis, and maybe not even a daily basis. And I think that's the misconception. I really do, about family violence. I think the misconception is it's all the time. There are many families that have amazing lives, that do great things, that go great places, but still are victims of DV because it's not all the time. But when it does happen, it's really, really bad. And you never know when that time is going to be. So you're still walking on eggshells because you don't know what's going to set them off. And over time, you learn to live with that so much that you don't set them off as much, but you still never know when that day is going to come around where they are going to be set off. This guy had child cruelty. His sister knew that, and his sister still, now I'm putting my X up here. I don't want to. It's cover your ears, folks. What can I say? He's got the lady. He's the one with the clearest copy of the lady, okay? We're not giving him a plug. He might even strike me, and I really don't care. If we dealt with his abuse for 2 years, we can deal with it a little bit longer, but I'm still going to play it because he's ripped it off somebody else himself. He didn't get this interview. We all know that because he's Jonathan. Yeah. All right. I'm done. Let's listen.
Last night in front of the Big Five. Now there are
I don't know why it's doing this. I tried to turn the volume down a little bit. It's just cracking. I think it's just the way the speakers are on his end because we're not having these problems on anything else. And I've listened to the crackling whenever I was playing it the first go round.
Stories going around that some of you have fabricated. And I'm just on here just to tell you guys what transpired. So my sister-in-law and my brother, they were at my older nephew's football practice, and he needed a new mouth guard. So instead of taking everybody, my sister-in-law opted to go, and she only took the baby.
Hey, Mimi Ma, can you, would you be so kind to tell me they reported the baby there? What do you mean by they reported, but the parents were fighting? Can you express that a little bit? So what I'm looking for, are you talking about the day this child was reported missing? If so, let me put my face back on here so you can see me. Oops, sorry, there I am. So, Mimi Ma, I saw your two posts. It says they reported the baby was there, and then you followed up, but the parents were fighting. Was that the day that they had this sporting event at that whatever park they were at? And if it is that, who were you speaking to? Is it the step parent, like the split up parents, the older children's mom and Jake, or are you talking about that Jake and Rebecca were fighting at the sporting event? And then also, when you say that they reported the baby was there, did somebody see the baby there? Because again, we're looking at that little rolly thing with the umbrella over it, and I can see where they can put some, rolled up whatever in there to make it look like a baby, with people just paying attention to the sporting event. Maybe they never even paid attention. Or was she playing it off like the child was in the car the whole time, and she was just, standing out by the car during this entire sporting event, acting like she's taking care of the baby? I'm trying to figure out where everybody was at this sporting event, and if that's what you're referring to. Aw, thank you, Sonia. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button on your way in or your way out. Betty, there was a case where a babysitter went out to several places with the baby in the car seat, making it look like the baby was sleeping. And I think that's the one I was talking about yesterday, Karen, because that sounds right in line with what I remember hearing a story, and I thought it was the one out of Texas. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe it wasn't out of Texas. Maybe I'm crossing two different cases together. But that's the one that I remember, and that's the one I was referring to. And why I'm saying, and so adamant on who saw the baby, because I want to know if the baby was crying, was the baby moving? When was the last time somebody heard the child? 7-month-old children are not quiet. Okay, they're quiet only when they're sleeping. That's it. And they're usually up every few hours. So, there's no way that they could have been at a loud event for 4 hours and nobody hear the baby cry one time. I mean, I think every parent that has children would love something like that, but we know that it's not reality. So I don't know. Good question. And yes, I that's exactly what I'm thinking as well. I think the baby is deceased, and they're tearing up the yards right now. I heard the grandmother said she just buried a grandchild a week before this event. I think that's where we've started looking into other people started looking into that, Angie, honestly, because there's a reason why people started looking into the nephew. And you know what? Because of this guy's history, one thing we learned on Justin's channel is that he has other charges. Not just like these are the charges with the children that we put up. And it sounds like, the way I'm looking at it, it sounds like he was charged with child cruelty. He went to jail. He had to spend time in jail. I think it was like 6 months jail sentence, which again, if that's the case, that's bizarre, but I don't think it is, because I heard he's been in jail for a couple years, all in all, potentially. So the issue I have is he's had he's a felon. He's been recently, I think 2024, charged with gun charges as well. So he's escalating. So it makes me wonder, is he the dealer? There's something going on here. We're hearing that he has some substances history as well, and we've got her nephew that just OD'd. Is he responsible? I'm asking, and I don't know, but could it be that far of a stretch? Why is he carrying around a pew-pew at this point? There's no reason for this felon to have a firearm if they're living a quiet life, and we have Tweedledee right here, his sister, giving him a free pass, saying, oh, he couldn't have possibly done it. Well, what's her excuse for how he was just put in prison for beating children?
Baby, which is Emmanuel. And when she got there, she realized the baby had went to the bathroom in his diaper. So as any mom would, which is crazy because a lot of you women are judging.
Let me ask you this before I just go off on this young mother. This woman's brother is a monster. And if she's okay with his behavior, then I'd have to be questioning her mothering as well. Is she doing the same thing her brother is? I'm very concerned. Okay? But let me ask all of the mothers out there in my chat. Let me go ahead and get this off, and let me go down to the bottom of my my chat so I can see your answers. How many of you would have opted to change your child out in the truck after you found out your child soiled himself, as opposed to grabbing the diaper bag and going into a restroom inside the sporting goods store to change your child, where you have running water, wipes, a table, and a garbage can for the soiled diaper? Would you guys have taken the child into a private restroom? Or would you have just chosen? Because, I mean, I can see, and I've done it before, where we've changed children on the back seat of a car. But I don't recall me changing a child on the back seat of a car when I had a bathroom to use, is the problem. You know, usually when I had to change the children on the back seat of the car, or even in the truck bed, it usually was when there was no facilities, like when we were out at the beach or a lake where the children have to go potty or have soiled themselves, yet the bathrooms are, you know, a half a mile walk down the beach. In a situation like that, yeah, I could absolutely see changing a child on the back seat, and I've done it before. But again, if I have an opportunity to take that child into a bathroom where there is we know sometimes things can be messy, and we know with little boys, when you take that diaper off, you could get sprayed in the face, okay? If you don't know and you never had boys before, never babysat a boy before, it's a real thing, okay? If you don't know what pee tastes like, after having a boy, I guarantee every single one of you, whether you want to admit it or not, knows what pee tastes like. Sorry, not sorry. I don't know what pee tastes like. I haven't been that close. I've watched boys before, but I also came in with a diaper as I was taking the diaper. I learned from other people's mistakes. You guys know what I'm talking about. Before you even open it, you got your other diaper wide open. You're already going in as you're pulling the dirty one down. You got it going in. You Gotta cover it up fast. People know. See? People know. So if you have an opportunity to take that child into an interior restroom, you're most likely going to want the restroom as opposed to changing. Again, if they're out at the soccer field and the bathroom's on the other side of the field, yeah, you're putting that child right in the back seat and you're changing that diaper. But she was right outside of a bathroom. She was right outside of the bathroom. Yeah. And my question is if she was already laying him down, the first things I do when I lay a child down, before I even lay him down, I've already got the diaper in my hand. Because, you know, children move around. You need to move quickly. You don't get a time to, you know, it's a 7-month-old child. They're going to be looking for the bottle or pacifier. They're going to be looking at any birds that are flying around. They're going to be moving. So you're going to have the diaper in your hand. You're going to get the child out of the car seat. Where's the diaper? Where's that diaper? And not only that, but whenever you're laying that child down, the next thing you do is instinctually take off those 2 tabs on the side. So she's laid the child down. First thing you do is take off the tabs. Why isn't there a soiled diaper next to where her head was? You have to walk these things through. One of the reasons why we're effective is because we do these things. We walk these things through step by step. The black eye. Well, let's think about this. She's on the driver's side. Typically, let's walk through this. Where do you put your car seat for your baby? You usually turn it around and put it slap in the middle of the bench seat in the back. right? That is the most protected area in that entire car, is that middle spot on that bench seat, because you got a whole lot of room up front, you got a whole lot of room up back. Even if you're hit on the side, you got a lot of room on the side. The safest spot for any baby to be is right there in the middle. Not to the right on the bench seat, not to the left, in the middle of that seat. It's the furthest away from any type of, the devices that explode upon impact. What are those? Why am I running a blank? You guys know what I'm talking about. The things that pop out of your steering wheel. I don't know why my brain is running blank. Hey, Audrey, it's nice to see you. Alcoholic? Yeah, and you're right. They should have had 2 car seats in that. That's a valid point. 2 car seats. So that should have only left the airbags. Thank you. I don't know why my brain does that, but I know what I'm talking about, but then it just doesn't pop out right. But airbags, that's what I'm talking about. It's the one spot that is the furthest away from airbags. Even your back seat doors and chairs have those airbags in it. Many people don't know because they're not usually sitting back there, but they do. So the one place that will keep your child the most protected is in that middle. So, without the consideration of the other child, which somebody reminded me of, we should have 2 car seats in that back vehicle. 2. One for their younger daughter and one for their baby. So that literally leaves only one spot open. And we all know if you are driving a car, you're not putting the baby behind you. Why? Because you can't see them. So if we have 2 car seats in there, we would know that the older car seat is most likely behind the passenger seat on the back side, and the baby's usually in the middle. So that would only leave one seat open to change this child's diaper, and that would be right behind the driver's seat. So if she's behind the driver's seat, the door is on the side where her face has been punched. So if somebody tapped her on the shoulder, it would most likely be this shoulder, because she's facing in, the door's on this side, this is your left side. The opening in the back of the car would have been on her right side. He would have had a tap on her right shoulder. She would have turned right, and he would have hit the opposite side of the face. No? If you have 2 it's in the middle, that's empty. She didn't take, from my understanding, she didn't have the other child. She only had the baby. She only took the baby with her. So even if they did have the car seat, well, I'm thinking the car seat would be on the passenger side for the older girl, because when the mom wants to look at the child, she wants to turn her head around and look at her child. If the child's in the car seat directly behind her head, she's not going to be able to see the oldest child as she's driving. And what side of the face is she sporting the black eye? Let's see here. Let's turn this all off. And she's sporting the black eye on the right side. Yeah, she's sporting the black eye on the right side. I don't know. It could be accurate. Unless the car seat's on the other side. If she had to change the child on behind the passenger seat, then she's got it on the wrong side. But if she had to change the child on the back seat from her, then she would be hit on the right side of her face. That's just my opinion. But again, she didn't see anybody. I'm sorry. Before you're hit, you're going to get a glimpse of the person. She says they said hola, but just because they say hola doesn't mean that they're of Hispanic descent. It's probably one of the most common words that the English language knows in Spanish. Hola. So let me read some people, because people, you guys have children and grandchildren right now. I'm going off experience from years ago. So things may be different. Wouldn't you immediately turn your head after the tap on the shoulder? Yeah. And we can identify that, because think about it, when we're with a bunch of group and somebody taps us on our shoulder, what's the first thing we do? We turn our head, and somebody's using going, joking around with us, just trying to see us, move around or turn. So you're right. I mean, you can go and tap on anybody's shoulder. The very next reaction is to turn their head. I think so. You keep the car seat strapped in? Yeah, but she would have had it, in order to change the child's diaper in the truck, she would have had to remove the child from the car seat. But I just don't see somebody removing the child from the car seat to change their diaper without having the diaper already in their hand. Because they know once they get that child out of the car seat, they're going to be moving about. So they want everything right there and ready to go before they even start undoing the child. So the fact that she already had the child laid down is telling me she already has the diaper in her hand, and that she's already, as soon as she lifts that child down, the tabs are coming off. And so if those tabs are coming off, then we should have a soiled diaper that fell off this child during this abduction. If we're playing this through. Now somebody may say, well, that's a big assumption. We don't know if she pulled the tabs. Well, I don't even think the child was there. I don't even think the child was there. But let's listen to the sister. This is Jake's sister.
In the car, which is mind-boggling, because if there's no bathroom, you're gonna do what you have to do to take care of your child one way or another.
And she made a valid point. When there is no bathroom, you are going to do what you need to do. The problem is there was a bathroom. There was a bathroom just a few steps inside of a building that had running water and garbage cans for the soiled diaper and wipes. So why would a mother, again, opt to change a child in the... We know that children are changed in vehicles all the time. We've seen it ourselves. We've probably done it ourselves. So that's not what we have a problem with. But it is the fact that even his own sister acknowledges that, yeah, when there's no public restroom, you do what you got to do. But the problem is there was a public restroom. There was a public restroom.
She's a great mother, so everything you guys are saying about her, first of all, you don't know her, and show some compassion. Like, she just had her son taken from her. And also, back to what I was saying, so she realized that he had went to the bathroom on himself. Of course, he's a baby. And she laid him down in the back. Her back was turned. She was about to change him. She was getting everything prepared. And she felt like a tap on her shoulder. She turned around and all she heard was "Hola." And before she could even see this person, acknowledge this person, whatever the case may be, he socked her in the...
So, thank you, Natalie. Natalie just subscribed. Air conditioning bathrooms, but it's this one here with the Real Me Too. Yeah, you can have some filthy bathrooms, but I don't think sporting goods stores are that. Convenience stores, yes. Some restrooms at restaurants, yes. But big lots, I've seen not the most, I've seen toilet paper and stuff on the bathrooms of the big lots. But if I go into a sporting goods store like Bass Pro Shop, their freaking bathrooms are squeaky clean. This looks like a fairly new shopping plaza. So I have to think that their bathrooms are in amazing shape. But again, you're right. Maybe we could take that into consideration, but this plaza looks pretty stinking clean. I can't imagine them being okay to have filthy bathrooms in a sporting goods store, where a lot of children and young families go to get supplies for their kids' little leagues and stuff like that. I believe that there are some businesses that take pride in their restrooms, much like TA. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a TA or a Flying J's. They have some of the cleanest bathrooms I've ever seen, and they are a convenience store. I just thought I'd throw that out there. A bit of this and that. Thank you guys. You guys are so sweet today. I appreciate all the subscriptions. This panderer woman is blind to reality and abuse. She's in denial. I believe that. A part of me, like she's talking, she seems, I'm not getting the deception factor from the sister. I don't really care for her commentary. I think she's missing, she's not taking into consideration her brother has been abusive in the past. But when you're listening to her, you can tell she truly believes the story she's been given. Okay? So we have to take that into consideration. I don't see that she's trying to lie to cover for her brother. I'm seeing a woman that truly believes the story she was given. That's just my opinion. You guys might have some different opinions on it. And maybe my opinion may change depending on what she says later in this. But right now, I'm seeing a young lady here that appears to be truthful. She's not intentionally trying to lie to people. I'm not getting the intentional deception aspect from her, but I do feel she believes the story they told her, and therefore she's able to provide that story with belief, because she's saying compassion. She's like, this mother just got, her heart, I think, is bleeding for her sister-in-law in part. But again, I think she's being misled, and her own common sense and judgment should say, wait a minute, my brother has a history of this. Is this possibly true? Because at the end of the day, this is a child, and this child is still this lady's family, and she should be advocating for this child as opposed to her brother. And maybe, time will tell. Maybe she'll find out that she's been bamboozled or lied to, and in her story, she may have some clarity. Maybe she just needs clarity.
The face, and she ended up blacking out. He knocked her out and she fell to the floor, and next thing you know, as she came to, she woke up. She was looking around for the baby. The baby was gone. She started panicking, screaming, crying. She called the police. She ran into Big Five to see if they had cameras outside or if anybody had witnessed anything.
So now I have a problem with this because we've learned that she was in the store a week prior and knew that there was no cameras. And then here she is playing the part that she didn't know there was no cameras. And again, if you're looking at this girl's face, I'm not getting like she's this person that's being this notorious deceptive lady here. I'm not getting that vibe. I'm getting a vibe that she believes the story she's been given, and she's able to tell the story that she was told, and you can tell she believes it because she's speaking as if it's believable, versus trying to help with the hoax. That's just my opinion. The deception detective is probably, or Mike Diaman is probably more of the expert on the field of statement analysis. I'm not. I just have my bullshit button. That's about it. I feel the way I feel about certain things. I've spoken to enough people. Some people are really smooth. They are ultra deceptive, and they can even fake my BS detector. But this lady here is not on my BS detector. I'm feeling completely opposite. I feel like she believes what she's saying. And then that's where it leads me to my opinion that, she's not being deceptive. She's ultra naive. Possibly.
And nobody apparently didn't see anything. And then there's no cameras outside. We're so baffled because how are there no cameras outside? Like, in cases like this, like, what are people supposed to do?
See, I think she's desperate. I think naive. Yeah, I think naive. And you guys got to remember they are manipulatives, very manipulative. So, she's also lived with her brother enough. But that also could cloud the judgment, because in a case that we're learning, say, of sociopaths, they still can have a good connection and a normal connection with family or other people, even though the rest of the people they don't trust and connive and stuff. It's attributed to sociopaths as opposed to psychopaths, but he could have a good connection. He could treat his daughter, or not his daughter, his sister, or his mom and dad differently than everybody else. He could have that one great bond with the person as a sociopath. So maybe not psychopathic, but definitely narcissism and at least a sociopathic behavior, in my opinion, from Jake. Again, I'm still kind of on the fence with with Rebecca, okay? Because my heart bleeds for her as a woman, from DV, in all the things that go along with DV, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, the physical, all of that. I feel for her from one woman to another woman in that realm, but I can't get over the fact that she's still with this man after obliterating her entire family. And I'm sorry, there's just got to be something. There's got to be a line in the sand for Rebecca, and there's no line in the sand for her. So now we have no choice. We don't show her compassion. I'm not showing this lady compassion. I don't care what her sister-in-law wants from the world. No, we do not show compassion to women that put themselves into this situation and then fail to fight and claw their way out of it. She's laying down. She's allowed both of her children to be taken from her because of this man, and she's still standing right beside him. That is our line in the sand when it comes to our compassion for abused women. I have no more compassion for this woman until she starts having some damn respect for herself and her family. And right now, we are not getting that from her. She's still fighting his battles. She's still trying to protect him at the peril of her own children. And we cannot be compassionate about that. We can be compassionate when her children weren't in danger. We can show compassion then and try to help her. But at this point, it's a day late and a dollar short. The only compassion she'll ever get from anybody on this side is when she finally opens her mouth and tells law enforcement the truth and puts her child above her or her husband. That is the only time that she will even remotely get compassion from this channel or from Bullhorn Betty. Her children have to come first. Her children.
Sorry. So after that, my brother told me that he had realized that his wife wasn't back because by that time it was already 8 o'clock and she had left.
So we know that this is where the story starts getting a little hinky, okay? He notices that she's not back. This is where I think the inconsistencies might play a part here, y'all. The call came in, and this is what makes me believe that they've got her on something. And I think it's from all those cameras that this young lady, right over here, whoops, let me move to the other hand there, has. She says there's no cameras. Again, we know that not to be true. We know that there are cameras. Okay? We know there are. There's cameras literally everywhere, just not in that plaza, specifically out in the parking lot. That's it. But there are cameras everywhere. And the call came in at 7:47 to law enforcement, around 7:47. So 13 minutes later is when he realizes that she's been gone for allegedly an hour. It is my belief, closer to the end of the game, they decided to jump into action, and this was the plan all along. This had to have been planned because I don't believe that this child was alive on this day. I believe this child did not make it out there to that game. And I definitely don't believe that this child was abducted from the Big Five parking lot. Law enforcement took cadaver dogs out there immediately, and like Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers' case, found 0 scent. As if that child levitated up into the clouds and moved. Because if the child levitated even above the ground with somebody grabbing him and holding him, his scent would have still been present that quickly. And there was no scent. So I think that was critical key one that started saying something doesn't make sense here. I think the other thing was these traffic cameras here that they probably observed and realized that she did not get to the Big Five at 7 o'clock. That she most likely got there right before reporting the child missing. Thank you, Lisa B. Always. In my opinion, sister is protecting her own feelings from baby in her arm. Naive, clouded judgment, pick one. Oh, I agree. I did see that little baby hand behind her. And yeah, you know, I think the hardest thing about, at least for me, about entertaining that a parent is responsible or could be responsible for hurting a child is the getting over the fact that we have great parents. Many of us have great, at least one great parent, if not two. Many of us have been blessed with maybe 3 or 4 great parents, like Maddie Mogan. She had a father and his girlfriend/wife, maybe not the best role models in the world, but she had them and she loved them and they loved her. And then she had her mom and her stepfather as well. And so she was loved by 4 parents, right? But many of us have, at least one really good parent in our life. And and it's usually a mom or a dad, sometimes we have, that have 2 great parents, but they favor one or the other, whether they're a mama's girl or mama's boy or a daddy's girl or a daddy's boy. But I think the hardest thing is conceiving that a parent can hurt a child. Because that is the hardest thing I think, for our human brains to consume. The only way I think that it's easier for our human brains to consume is if we've had, a horrible relationship with our parents. There was a lot of violence, abuse, we were taken out of their homes, given, put in foster care or adopted out or something like that. But for the most part, I feel like that is the hardest part for us to wrap our heads around, and even us as children, us looking at our parents and reading about a son or a daughter, basically executing their parents for giving them reasonable punishment for whatever they did, whether it's talking back, you take the phone away. And now the parents are under attack. And that's the hardest thing is we look at our parents. We've been angry as all get out with our moms or our dads through our life. I mean, just, you could have spit bullets. You were so angry. And never once, ever, in a million years, did it ever cross our mind to hurt our parent. Even the parent that maybe we don't get along with so well. Never even flippin' crossed my mind that if I didn't get my way, I go and stop them from breathing. And I think that is the hardest part for us doing these stories and cases is us trying to understand them and having at times to put ourselves in some of these criminals' shoes to make sense of it. And it'll never make sense to us. And we will always be in disbelief covering these cases. We tell parents to hold their kids accountable. I'm one that tells parents, when they're a certain age, when they're too young or too old, corporal, patting on the butt for discipline is no longer effective. When you get to a certain age, the most effective thing you can do to a child is take away their electronics if they're being unruly or disruptive. We tell people all the time to start using these maneuvers to hold their children accountable so they'll be better, well-versed children in society. It's something that a lot of experts find a good punishment that teaches, accountability. And now that the parents use those very smart and very proven methods to help discipline and shape their children into a good person for our society, now they're in jeopardy of losing their life because they're disciplining their children, which their children need to be disciplined. They're not beating their children. They're not being horrible parents. They're being proper, good parents that want to have construction in their child's life, and now they are up, possibly going to lose their life for holding their child accountable. At what point how do we fix that? That is a loaded question. How do we fix that? Well, in my opinion, I think the first disease of the family is usually alcohol or substances. I truly believe that those things invite the violence into the home, first and foremost. There are so many homes that I truly believe if there were no alcohol or no substances in, they would be just an amazing family, an amazing unit, and something that could do a lot of great things in the world. But so many people, they have their own struggles and they sell their own lives short. And in this situation, I think this woman got with this man. She's not the prettiest woman in the world. The guy is a good-looking guy. It feels like a whole Jennifer Soto, Madeline Soto case as far as the dynamic between the mom and the father. I always felt that Jennifer Soto was not a very pretty woman, but, Stephen Stearns was a decent-looking guy, something more than what she could have probably normally have, scored. Just my opinion from a woman's perspective. They looked off. And much like this woman and man, they kind of look off. She's not a pretty girl. She's not really pretty. I mean, she's a mom. I don't want to be rude. I'm just being realistic. Yet the guy is a much more good. They don't fit. And so that usually does tell me something, about controlling nature, but it also tells me something about her. It tells me that she is more of a desperate woman. It shows me that she has low self-esteem about herself, which again comes from years of being abused. A lot of these things can be attributed to being an abused woman. But she's exhibiting all those. Did she have those before she met this man or not? Her first daughter looks fairly healthy, but there had to have been something that happened with her son. Either the father didn't want another child. The child had some medical issues, may have been colicky, not sleeping well. Just, when a child's miserable, they have no way of communicating to anybody except screaming to the top of their lungs. They can't talk. They can barely move, and all they can do to let you know when they're hungry or when something isn't right is cry. And people that are on substances or have other problems sometimes can't handle the screaming and the crying, and they lose their ever-loving stuff. Stockholm Syndrome is real. Yep, VA, it is. But I don't think this is Stockholm Syndrome. I think this is batter's wife syndrome. I really do. This woman she's exhibiting entirely too many things. And again, I just don't want to, dumb down her culpability in all of this. She's a woman. She makes decisions. There are a lot of women across this country that fight for their children, that would be willing to take a beating for their child, but you don't touch their child. And this woman's she's laid down on all of it, and there's just nothing we can do to save her until she's ready to save herself. But to me, the damage is already done, and the compassion from me to her will never happen until she does the right thing by Emmanuel. And I think that needs to be the approach of all the content creators across here. We cannot give this lady a free pass just because she's a battered wife. She had an opportunity to stand up and do the right thing for her child, and she still chose not to. And we have to take that into consideration. We all know what happened. I think even the content creators that we're not aware of, like this guy here that we were just watching, what's his name? True Crime with Strategic Eyes. True Crime with Strategic Eyes is the one that we were watching. I never heard of this guy before. He's got a decent following, and he's even talking about this man, hurting her child. And I think that's the sentiments of all this. She doesn't look like she would be able to hurt her child. I'm not accusing her of abuse of this child. I'm accusing her of standing by while she let a man abuse her child. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, Rod. She's responsible. The police say she's inconsistent, cannot rule out foul play. Exactly. So we do have a few more videos to watch, but it is now 9:30, so I've got to get moved on with some other stuff. I will be back later this afternoon. We are going to be picking up this conversation. We're going to be touching on some of the other cases and getting ourselves up to date with those. But a lot of this stuff that we're exhibiting right now, we can attribute behaviors to the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case, and we need to remember this because we've got Jaden Spicer, which was found. We've got this case, which Emmanuel has not yet been found. But no matter how you look at these cases, these parents that are exhibiting the same behaviors Chris and Katie exhibited, and their children are deceased. And they are responsible for the demise of their child. So I hope everybody is looking at these intricate factors in all of these cases related to parents and understanding and identifying certain behaviors and then going back and applying that to the Sebastian Rogers case. I think you guys, for those that may have some other thoughts, you guys might be getting on board with different thoughts after these cases, especially with Jaden and Emmanuel. I think this is a good time for us to really pay attention on the details of this case, on the locations, on all the statistical factors of these cases, because those statistical factors are what we apply from case to case, and those are factual metrics that we can apply from case to case. So please pay attention to all these details. I want to thank you guys all for being here and hanging out with me related to this case. It is a sad case. I'm very, very, very upset with it. But much like our thumbnail, I just want to close out with this. I want to close out with this. 1, the mother lawyered up. 2, inconsistent statements. 3, story defies logic. 4, father has a violent history. 5, no witnesses to the attack. And 6, the search of their property. It should be 7 because one of them I missed, and it was no scent picked up by the dogs. Much like Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers' case, nothing picked up the child's scent. I think even in Jaden Spicer's case, there was no scent because she loaded him up and took him out in a tote. So we have to remember these things because these things are what keeps our cases on track. Again, I am adamant that we deal with these cases. Gina H. reminds us, decline the lie detector test. 8. 8. Decline the lie detector test. No scent from the dogs and decline a polygraph. They said they declined a polygraph until they got an attorney. Why would anybody, if your child left and you know that you were attacked and you know that child was with you and that child was taken, you're going to do everything you can to get that child back. You're not going to be consulting with an attorney. I truly do believe. Just my opinion. You guys have your own opinions, and there's not a whole lot that I can do with that. Why is my stuff, there it goes. Okay, now they're starting to go up. I'm like, why is it not going up? We're hearing rumors that there was blood found in the home, but even everybody that I've, like all the content creators that I've talked to, not talked to, sorry, that I've watched, have been kind of, unsure themselves. It's nothing that I've heard concrete. So the rumor is that there was some blood found inside the home. I believe there is, because I believe this man has been beating the shit out of everybody in that home for a long time. So I expect there to be blood from the mom, from this child, from their other child. I expect there to be blood from him, because he's a violent piece of garbage that does not deserve to be out walking the streets. And if our law enforcement would have done their job, he would not have been. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. He got a cruelty to a child charge. We're hearing a lot of different things from this child having major brain damage to God knows what else. And if that's the case, do you think 6 months is good enough? Because I certainly do not. That is a violent act to an innocent child. 6 months? That kind of stuff angers me when it comes to our justice system. You want to know why people continue to be violent? Well, what is the true punishment? Oh, I gotta go take 6 months in jail, three free hots and a cot. I'll do my paper. That's what people are saying. I'll do my paper, but you say, oh, you gotta spend 10 years in jail. They'll probably, I won't do that again. I won't do that again. So I can't with our justice system. The law enforcement is bringing these people to court. They're arresting these people. That's their job, right? Their job is to get the information and turn it over to the prosecutor. It's the prosecutors that aren't doing their job. It's the prosecutors that we need to start focusing on and making sure that instead of just our sheriffs, we need to make sure that when we're voting on judges and prosecutors for our district and state, we need to make sure that they're tough on crime too, because it doesn't mean a whole lot when an officer is building cases for violent crimes and turning them over to the prosecution or the state, and they go and give them 6 months, a slap on the wrist. You want to know why we have a revolving door at our jails? It's because of this nonsense right here. Do you think if he was only going to get 6 months for giving a child brain damage, what was going to stop him from the next child? Not a whole hell of a lot. Now we've got a deceased child. It's not formal yet. It hasn't been made public yet, but we all know what kind of case we're looking at here. If the DA would have done what they needed to do with this Yahoo, Jake Harrow, this child would never even have been born, yet alone be dead. Just saying. He would have never been able to procreate a child that he unalived, had the prosecution done what they should have done. But I guarantee now we're going to make sure that this man is dealt with properly. And if the courts out there don't want to do it, that's okay. Unfortunately, you may love him or hate him, but we have President Donald J. Trump, and I'm telling you, this man's ass is done. He will not be in this country anymore. Done. So hopefully law enforcement, sounds like law enforcement's doing a bang-up job out there in San Bernardino. They're not getting any pushback from Bullhorn Betty. Keep doing what you guys are doing. Bring this baby home. Bring this baby home. And thank you for your service. All right, guys. You guys hear some things. Amen. Thank you, Lady for Justice. Thank you. 8 months. Justice for Emmanuel. I think she slipped saying she fell in the... She did. She did. Because she was reliving the... That's what made me think that it's her statement that made me put the pieces together that this was an altercation that happened at their home. It was the husband was attacking, and I guarantee he was doing something to that child. That woman got, hit either trying to protect that child or whatnot. I truly believe they thought the child was going to be okay, and the child eventually succumbed to his injuries. And then they had to put into place, oh my God, what do we do now? They can't turn the child in because they should have gotten the child medical attention days ago. This is where I'm going with this case. This is how I feel that this case is progressing. Again, I don't know that to be the case. These are just my theories. And I'm going to continue to develop those theories as more information becomes available. Don't forget to like me on TikTok. I put out a lot of new information out on TikTok. Sundays are my TikTok days where I just pummel them with a bunch of new information. I try to keep them up to date with videos throughout the week, here and there, but during the week, this is my primary focal point is the YouTube channel or channels. We're going to start incorporating our other channel. I know we keep incorporating and pulling back, It's because I got a lot of stuff going on in my personal life, and trying to maintain all of that all at once has been quite difficult. Thank you. Lady for Justice gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. It looks like Anna received the Bullhorn Betty membership. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straight jacket and your padded room. Thank you, thank you. We got Donna Smith, 7 months. Good morning, my love. Good morning. It's wonderful to see you here as well. So that's really all I have. If you guys hear of anything online or any other place, please send that to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. We're going to start getting our tip line and our email set up for the show, so you guys can engage with me in real time, where I'm not having to monitor the chat. So when emergency or important stuff that needs to go on the show for our topic of conversation that you guys have, that you want a discussion about, you'll be able to send that to me here in real time while we're doing the show. But that's not going to be rolled out until probably sometime next week or the week after. But that is where we are moving this show to go. I don't know if we're going to have a whole lot of, we're going to still have interviews, and I've got to try to figure out how we're going to continue to do that. I will get a program that will allow us to do that. I just don't know which one it is. It's not going to be StreamYard. I'm done with StreamYard. I had to do all this work because of the crap that StreamYard gave us. And just not a very happy camper with the whole having to change systems thing. But I think for the longevity of our show, being forced to learn all of this stuff will actually, in the long run, be a benefit, an asset to the show as opposed to a liability. Right now, I feel like it's a liability because it's draining so much time, and I had to really, because I got court stuff that's due, and I really had to claw my time back to about 15 minutes a day to work on the platform. Now that we've got it functioning, I don't need it. I don't need to breeze through it. I want it set up, and I want it set up right. And so that's what we're going to be doing moving forward. I will have a green screen, so my head will be popped out, and you're not going to see it, but I just don't have the green screen set up in the office. It is in Office 2, which many of you guys know is my bedroom. I do a lot of work because I live alone. I'm alone literally 99.9% of the time with just me and Delilah. And occasionally, I go out and see my friends and my mom, depending on how busy I am. But I have been overwhelmed with a lot of court stuff, going through a lot of discovery, making sure I'm not missing anything, because all that stuff has to be turned over. It should have already been turned over, but it's taking a lot to go through everything and making sure that I'm not missing anything, because I don't want any problems, right? I didn't do anything wrong. We know where the problem came from, and we've got to prove it. There's no reason to not. So anyways, that's where we are, but we will be rolling out once we get all this stuff over and done with. I expect most of this stuff to finally subside, the finality of it in 2026, and then we'll be back to normal We'll have nothing, no ball and chain around our neck. But you guys know why we had to do this. We had to do this because what was going on could no longer go on. They were putting people in jeopardy. They were putting people in risk. They were risking my life. They were risking other people's lives. And now all they've done is stop talking about me and turn their focus on to another victim of theirs that they're doing the exact same playbook with and trying to destroy this woman's life because she speaks and breathes. No, you don't have, like somebody, stay on your own blessed channel, talk all the crap you want about them, and leave it there. When you got to start sending people out with the Department of Children and Family Services, calling in swatting, all this illegal activity, you're no good than the criminals that we talk on these cases every day. Because you know what? If you don't think that that's abuse of those children, having to deal with the Department of Children and Family Services when they have a loving mother, you are the abuser. And not only that, you're not just abusing the content creator anymore. Now you're going to their family. And we are going to put an end to this practice. You guys want to talk shit? Fine. Talk shit on your own channel and don't let it spill over into anybody else's. That's how you do it. And when you find out that your people are doing this, you put the kibosh on it. You say, no, that's not what this channel is. You stick up for the right thing to do, whether you like the person or not. If you don't want it done to yourself, don't do it or condone it being done to somebody else. That's all there is to it. Your rights do not trump anybody else's rights. If you don't like what people are saying, change the channel. To try to force them off a platform from ever even being able to speak what they want to, that goes totally against the First Amendment. And seems to all too often people want their First Amendment rights to spread venom, but doesn't want anybody else combating the venom that they're spreading. And when they do, they want to shut them down. No, you don't get to do that. You're not that powerful. You will never be that powerful. When you have to take a gang to go after one person, that one person you're ganging up on, they're the ones with all the power. You're just the cowards that have to gang up on that one person. That's it. That's it. I say let's be kind to everybody. We got enough animals in this world. We don't have to listen to them. We don't have to have them upset us. So this is my call to all the people that are truly part of the true crime community. Stick with true crime content creators. These pieces of shit out here on these platforms are not true crime content creators. All they are is hateful people with a microphone. That's it. So go make it a great day. Stay off the hate channels. Spread love, not hate. Advocate for these victims. And make sure that we're strong for each and every one of these victims, and we come from a place of love, not hate, when advocating. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another.